Hey, Leslie.
Oh, no, I can't hear you.
Oh, no, that's not good. Here we go again. You've got it on mute.
I don't know.
Now, I can hear you now.
I'm telling you guys, this is like the best.
Leslie's been having some technical difficulties. We can't hear you.
Okay, and I can hear you. I have no idea. This is
it might have, you might have a slight connection problem there.
Yeah, I think I might have a little in my mic, but I love my mic. So
hi, Leslie.
Hi, and good morning, everybody. Sorry for that little.
Yeah, it's great to be here, and we have a really fun program kind of lined out for you guys, and we have a couple of guests, and we're just real excited to be here. And I know it's been a difficult week for a lot of people. Well, me too, because here I am at home. So, but we're excited to be here and to share something fun and exciting for you. Leslie?
Yeah, I also thought that, Adele and I were talking and we're like, we're trying to make this easy and like what everybody has an interest in. And so, we all talk about books and how much we love books. And so we thought, that would be such a great topic and to share the books that, I have several books that I absolutely love, but there's two in particular at this moment that I'm really digging. So we decided to let's talk about some of our favorite books. And these are more visual books than books that we're reading. And then we decided let's have on some of our guest audience members because we're all in this together and we want to connect with you guys and we have more things coming up for connecting. So there you go. Yeah, Adele.
Yeah, well, we're real excited about being here, and we've been plotting and planning on things that we can do to all of us get social. And in fact, we were calling it Let's Get Social. And I also wanted to mention that the books that we will be talking about and showing you, we will be posting a list. So in case you want to add that to your book library, it will be there for you. And also we'll try to find some links for you to purchase them. Now, just keep in mind, we're not affiliated with anybody. We're just giving you the links. And if you care to purchase, that'd be great. We'll also ask you if you have any comments or questions, and we're here to answer those for you too. So to get things started, I'm going to have Leslie do her books right now.
Yay.
So see you in a bit.
Yes, you guys feel free to ask questions and comment. You can see I'm in my studio, so welcome to my studio. My studio is turned into multi-purpose things right now while I'm at home. So I'm going to talk about two books that I have, and I have, like many of us, I have a fascination with Frida Kahlo. And so I purchased this book actually many, many years ago. And this is, I'll bring it up so you can see it. This is called Self-Portrait. You can see it in velvet dress, Frida's wardrobe. And so after Frida died, they closed up her house or her section of the house where her wardrobe was, and it was not opened up. Hi, Carol. Yay, thanks for being here. So they opened up Frida's wardrobe after her husband, Don Diego, had died. So it had been in storage for many, many years. And this book is particularly not about her art, but it's really about her wardrobe. And part of my fascination with this is because I'm in the process of creating a Frida Kahlo doll for an online class with Adele. So I had already started this research because I love research. So I started this research, and let me just show you some pages. So it's really cool. The whole thing, it's a gorgeous book. Let me just get to a really cool page. And it is well documented. There's so much in here, I don't even know where to start. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to flip through just a few pages. I think this is gorgeous of her gowns, her undergowns. The other thing that's really cool that they do in this book is they show I've got to make certain I'm on the camera correctly. They show her in the dress, and then they show the dress herself. There is a collection of her wardrobe going around. I don't know where it's at now. My cousin Mary was able to see it when it was in Phoenix, and I wasn't here in Phoenix, and now I am here in Phoenix. It talks a lot about her history. Let me see what it says. It shows her dressing room, her look, how she also really stayed true to some of her indigenous people, and she would have them, the Tijuana style, she would have them. So she also, okay, you guys will find this interesting. I should have marked these pages instead of just, she also really had a thing for Chinese. Isn't that interesting? Sorry, this is like really, this book is so loaded full of cool things. I thought I had them marked. Oh, I changed my markers. Okay, here we go. Here we go. You're going to love this. Well, I love this. Here is a picture. This is a Chinese. So she had a lot of garments that were from China, really, really beautiful things. And then it also, here, this is another good one too. Can you see this? Oops, can you see that? And there's the dress. And so, you know, for me, I'm actually, you know, all taken about this kind of thing. Then it also, which I find super interesting because I love this kind of stuff, it talks about, oh, here's some of her shawls. Here's some of her shawls. She had like, I mean, her wardrobe was so extensive. And then it also, the thing that I find super interesting about this book, it is also talks about, because everything was loaded up for, you know, hidden for so many time, it talks about the restoration of the items too. And so there were two gals that specifically did the restoration. I mean, everything is just beautiful in here. Just a minute. Let me find you a good picture. That's not as good. You're gonna have to get this book if you like Frida. It's not inexpensive, but it's worth it. Here is showing how they restored a lot of like the fragile linens and that type of thing. So I just find it really super beautiful. It talks a lot about her and where she comes from. And it shows, you know, it talks about her corsets. It shows a picture of her bathroom in here. You know, the whole beginning is a lot about her history. So I feel like all in all, this is like just a beautiful, round, well-rounded information about her wardrobe, her life, even some of her philosophy. I think that's really a cool thing. And then my second book is, and please, I will put the link on this because I just feel like this is one of the most gorgeous books that if you know, like Frida, I feel like that's a beautiful book that you can have. And then my second book is China Through the Lens of John Thompson. And he was a photographer that went into China in the, you know, middle to late 1800s. And you know how fascinated I am with that. And he took still photography pictures of many different areas all around China. So, and then, you know, you guys know, if you know me, you know how interested I am in all these beautiful dresses. You know, China had also had for 1,000 years, had the whole thing with the bound feet, which is kind of interesting too. So I just think these are really, really fascinating. It tells about the area that he was in, and the people that he saw. He didn't only do, gorgeous women. He did day-to-day life in China, which I'm super fascinated in. I think the China culture is something that it's so in depth, it blows my mind of how many layers of and the status of people, especially in comparison to the US, so different. I just think that everything in this book is done with such grace and such elegance, that everything's in black and white. And again, this book is called China Through the Lens of John Thompson. There you go. Those are my two favorite books at the moment. I have many, many more, but these are the two that I'm really delving into at this time.
Those were great, Leslie.
Oops, now I can't hear you.
Oh, you're on mute.
My mic. Okay, I'm just taking my mic off.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
You might have a loose connection. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were great books.
I love both of them. I find that, in art, for me personally, my journey in research is usually back into history. That's what really appeals to me. And I love to find like the connection between things. I think as, we have our own path that we like to take. And so mine is usually back into history. I find that there's so many layers that I can, jump into and delve into. So that's really fun.
Yeah, I love Asian art. I love anything Asian as well. I'm just so fascinated by the embroidery and the history and the dynasty, all of that. I love all that.
Yeah,
it's very fascinating. I know several years ago we were in Suzhou where they did the robes for the dynasty, and to date they're still doing embroidery there, which is amazing that they still have been there for this amount of time. Of course, you had to make an appointment to go see them. I mean, it was all very hush hush, to get in there.
Right.
But it's really amazing the history that they have.
Yeah, and I find it fascinating that they still, like you were saying, they still bring that culture of handwork and of mindfulness into today's world, because so much is done, by machine these days, you know? So, I mean, and you look at their handwork, oh my goodness, it is like, it's incredible. It's just incredible. Yeah.
And the fashion designer, her name is Gu Pai. She has all of her fashion. I don't know if everybody's familiar with her, and I will also put a link to her Facebook page because her work is simply amazing. And the details that she puts in her costumes. Now, some of them are really way out there, but if you just take certain sections of it, all of that is all hand done. And she's from China, and unbelievable the work that is on there. It's just beautiful.
It's funny that you mentioned her because one of our guests today, Diana, and I actually went to, when I was in California teaching, we actually took a day and went to see an exhibit of hers in person. And it blew us both away. We were both walking around that exhibit like, taking pictures like of every little tiny little detail.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was incredible. Yeah. And so the one thing that I wanted to talk about, like my two books that I chose, I just find it so interesting that, here you have two cultures, you have Frida's culture from in Mexico, and then you have the Chinese culture, and they're so far away and they're from such different time periods, and that they still feed into one another. I mean, like Frida's, had this real strong interest in Chinese textiles, I'm going to say, in techniques and stuff. Yeah. So that I just find, we're all connected.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is
yeah.
very interesting how it all works. Well, thanks, Leslie. And
Yeah, Adele, I can't wait to hear about your
yeah,
books.
I will drop down. I will drop you down so I
Okay,
can
see you in a bit.
show you my book. See you in a bit. Hi, everyone. So I'm real excited about to share my books as well. And I love to do costuming. And of course, I like anything that has detail work on it. And I'm always looking for books that are going to help me understand the costume a little bit better, taking a little bit of tradition and some modern fashion and just kind of combine it all. But that's what I like to do. So my first book that I have is, I'm going to bring up my, here it is. It's How to Read a Dress. In this book, I don't know if many of you have seen this book before, but this book breaks down the different sections of the costume or the dresses. It starts in the 1600 and so you can see it tells you a little bit of history of the different sections of the dress, which is super interesting. This is sort of an Elizabethan. And each section is like this. I'll go into the 1800. Here it is here too. And what's nice about it, they also talk about the fabrics they used. So if you were trying to do something as a historical piece, this would give you some information on that. They also give you the name of the particular dress in the book. So let's say, for instance, this one. As you can see, they have the name of the dress, that it's an evening dress. And they also show a bit of the detail work, which is kind of nice. Right down here. I'm having trouble to make sure you see it on the screen. But this book is called How to Read a Dress. And what prompted me to get this book was the next book I'm getting ready to show you, because when the film of Game of Thrones was being developed and they were doing the costumes, they went back and looked at all the historical costumes that were made back in 1600, 1500. And they took a lot of those ideas from those dresses and they incorporated them into the Game of Thrones. And what they did too, of course, they enhanced it. They did a lot of embellishments. But once you look at this book and then you refer back to the Game of Thrones costume book that I'm going to show you, you will notice that there is a lot of similarities in the costumes. So even like what Leslie said, the books are on costumes, they're connected in some way. So how many times can you reinvent a skirt? So you just have to keep enhancing it and just do it the way you feel like it will work for whatever project that you're working on. And that's what Game of Thrones has done. So I'm going to show you my Game of Thrones book. And it is very big and very heavy, but here it is. This is Game of Thrones costume book. Let me see if I'm trying to hold it still here for you. This is an amazing book, and it is full of pictures and details of every costume that Game of Thrones did. So a lot of these costumes, they referred back to historical costumes, and then they did their own embellishments on it. I'll see if I can find you another page. They also showed the men's, which is kind of interesting, and they also did the drawings. The drawings are in here. The sketches that they did for each costume are in here. This is a fabulous book to have as a reference if you like that kind of detail work. In the beading, I'm going to show you a little bit of that. And they also talk about the jury, which is kind of interesting. They tell you a little bit about that. The armor, they have sketches of the armor, if anybody's into armor. Yeah, this book is rather large, but it makes a great tabletop book or a reference book. I have looked at this book many, many, many times, and I just can't get enough of it. And always find something I didn't see the first time or the second time I've gone through it. So this has been a great book as a reference, and it is out now. I bought it when it first came out, but they're still publicizing it. So, but be warned, it is very heavy. So I'm hoping that you enjoyed these books, and I will be putting a link to them as well. Bring Leslie back up. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, I loved a couple of things that you said about that. Not only finding the connection between things, but also seeing their sketches.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really interesting because, we all have our way of getting whatever's in our head out onto our, into our artwork, whatever it is. And that's really cool. And it's also, I love that the Game of Thrones, they went back into history. And then I love that book that you have from history, telling about each part. I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's
so
just,
fun.
It's super interesting. And I was thinking when I was trying to decide, when we said we were going to do books, I started thinking, what book am I going to show? And I thought, this Game of Thrones books weighs a ton. Like I'm wrestling with it. But, I really wanted to share it because a lot of people don't know that it is available. And I have purchased a lot of books that are related to the costumes of movies. And it's amazing what those designers go through. And a lot of those books do have sketches, and they put swatches with them. So you can see how they develop the costumes. And I love all of that. I love seeing how it all comes together. I'm going to check for some messages. Let's see.
I see Carol said that she has the Game of Thrones book and thought that, it's like she loves it. It's amazing. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she said that she loves the topics that we're offering. So we're starting to have a few more ladies come in. So we're going to bring up our two guests, Diana and Julie. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Welcome to the show, you guys. We're so happy you're here. It's like so cool. Yes.
I was going to say that, this is my working environment when I'm not working. So and I keep pulling more things in because I have in my front area where I'm at right now, I have incredible light. So I can, fortunately where I live, I can work in, natural light as much as possible. So that's why it's so bright in here right now.
Yeah, well, it looks great. And we're so glad that you are both here and willing to share some of your books. And
let's find out when you guys come on by yourself. Tell us where you're from.
Yeah.
Because we're not, Adele's in Montreal, East Coast time, and I'm in Phoenix. So I'm in West Coast time. So it's kind of cool that we can all, wherever we are, we can all hook up together. I think.
And it's exciting to have a guest on our show. Hi, Leslie.
Yes, I love having guests on the show. Yes.
So I believe, Diana, you're going to be up?
I am.
Okay. So we're going down into the green room, and we're going to turn it over to you.
Okay. So when I was asked to do this, I had to look through all of my books. And like everybody else, we have a vast, wide range of books to choose from. But I went back to one of my foundation books that I've had for a long time, and that is the Art of Manipulating Fabric, this one. And I'm assuming most people already have this in their library. I found it originally because years and years and years ago, I was ordering different doll patterns from Colette Wolfe and from the Platypus. And I still have, let me see, an original catalog from her. So when she quit making the patterns, the book was the last thing that came out. So it was kind of like a treasure from one of my favorite doll maker people, and the way she did her patterns and the detail and the period costumes again. But what I really liked about this book the most is it probably now would be in color, but there is such intricate, let me see, details on what you can do just with your fabric. So to create some of those great designs and the pleatings and everything that come in other kind of costumes, it's like, I don't know how to do that. Then I can come in here. This is like a thesaurus of sorts for that. So let me see. I had a couple of different sections on different samples. Can you see? I can't see. And then we get into different sections. She's got a whole section, let me see, on cording and quilting. And then this is something I remember from a class I'd had with Leslie, stuffing. So she actually covers all aspects of how to create what you need to get the effect that you want. And she goes into also different types of fabrics, do different types of things. So if you have an idea and you're looking for something through other books that you have, and you're looking at it and it's like, I can't quite find that fabric. I wonder what I can do to get the same effect with something else. Then I would really, really say this book is really, really great for that, because it's like the staple. And I only have the one book because I really couldn't pick a second book. It was like, okay, it wasn't one, it was 5. And I thought, okay, we'll just stick with this one. But if there was anything else that I would have when I would create a costume, or I'm creating a new doll and I want to get a different kind of an effect, I would use this as my point of reference first, and then pile on that some of my other reference books to get where I think I wanted to go, or to help me work out a different way of, answering that question. And I know it's odd, because when we get into different types of things like how to shape a face in fabric, or how to create, a bust line, and it's gotten quite advanced since this book has come out. But even for the beginning doll maker, there's some real questions they have, because they're used to maybe making a 2-dimensional garment rather than putting it into a 3-dimensional form. And some of the more complicated patterns become very scary for them. So having something simple to start with is kind of comforting, and it gives them, the courage to kind of take that step. And so then they're really pleased with what they have. And that helps them, and it encourages them to move forward and get a little challenged and move to the next level. And that's the kind of thing that I really enjoy about doll making, I think, overall, because it gives you can be simple if you want, because it's meditative, or you can kind of expand it to challenge yourself to see what else you can do. And books like The Art of Manipulating Fabric help kind of answer some of those little challenge questions that you might have in getting those pieces to fit together, and then you can move on to the next thing. So since I only have the one book, I think I've covered everything with this one, Adele.
Well, this is great, Diana. I've had that book and I just love it. And it's a great way to start with some sort of a foundation and just keep embellishing on it. Do you have that book, Leslie?
I do have that book. It is like Diana said, it's like a great staple to have. And Diana, the thing that I really loved you talking about is like thinking about just taking flat fabric,
right,
and then manipulating it through stitching or whatever you choose. And then you can create a whole new, like what you were saying, from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional. And you can, I think that book is a wealth of knowledge of just, and also you can take those ideas and then jump off of,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, just
foundation.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And I feel that, you can get fabric, now for us order fabric online, but you can have fabric like my big studio here. You can have fabric in there, and then you can change it. You can manipulate it. So it's limitless, what you can do with it.
It really is. It's like that staple piece of recipe that you put in everything you cook. Like onions. Yes. It's just always there.
Well, you know, the
Yeah.
interesting thing about when I was going to go look for books for this program, I started looking at all my books and I'm going, oh my gosh, I forgot about that book. Oh yeah, I need to look at this book. So I wound up spending an hour looking at all the books again. So it's kind of nice that we, did this.
I know. It's just, you know,
So we'll bring Miss Julie up and bring
Hi,
up Sharon.
I'm Julie McDermott and I live in Elizabeth, Colorado. So I'm on Mountain Standard Time. And I chose my book was the first book I thought of, which is a little different. I didn't look through all my books. I chose a book that is really inspiring to me and evokes a lot of emotion when I'm looking at the work. It's soft sculpture. It sparks my imagination. And I chose the book by Mr. Finch called Living in a Fairy Tale World. And I'll hold up the book. Let's see. There. Oops. There we go. Can everybody see it? Yeah. So Mr. Finch is an artist that lives in Leeds in Yorkshire. And he creates soft sculpture creatures. I'm a lover of anything anthropomorphic, and those are the creatures that he creates. He creates soft sculpture creatures that tell a story. And that's one of the things that I love about his work is that he also does tell a story along with all of these creatures that he creates. He creates them by himself. He does all his own sewing. In his studio, he also takes all his own photography. And he has the first book, this Living in a Fairy Tale World, is published by a publisher, Glitterati. But he also has 2 books that he self-published. And those books are storybooks without words. He gives an introduction to those books that lays out the story and then tells the story with his characters. And so you can really use your imagination when you're looking at each one of the story pages. And then at the end of each book, he gives a behind the scenes look at how he creates them and where he creates them and what his inspiration is. And he's inspired a lot by British folklore and by nature and by birds and animals and insects and nature and toadstools. And he's just an incredibly inspiring artist. And I'll show you a picture of him in the book. Ooh, it takes a little getting used to get the book in the right place. So here he is in his studio creating a rabbit. He also has cats, and who doesn't love anyone who loves cats? And some of the creatures that he makes they're rather large scale, and oops, there we go. My screen went black. They're large scale, and here's a picture of a bumblebee. Whoops. Get this book thing down. So his bumblebee is actually about 9 inches long, 5 inches wide, 9 inches long. So his pieces are rather large. He makes a lot of moths and insects, and this is a picture of some of his moths. And he uses all vintage textiles, and he recycles materials. And spends a lot of time gathering materials and fabrics. And as I believe I'm somewhat of a gatherer, I love that about him. Here's some pictures of his spiders. Whoops. Here's one of his spiders. They're very large. If you see them up next to a person, they're really quite large, and they're quite beautiful just by themselves. And he uses vintage textiles and things for what little costuming that he does too. Here's some of his toadstools. Oops. And I think each one of his creations is just a work of art by itself. Another toadstool. I just love toadstools. Oops. There we go. Aren't they fabulous? He also uses found objects as bases, and it might be a vintage plate or a tin bowl to use as things to mount on. He does a lot of animals. Here's a picture of some of his hares. And he does squirrel. I'm having trouble getting these things in the right spot to show them. Okay. And he does birds and things too. But what's interesting about the birds that he does do some that are it's some that are alive, but most of the birds that he creates are dead birds. And it's not that he says he doesn't think of them as death. It's more of symbolizing loss. And I thought that was really quite nice. A lot of the things that I love about him, his work is magical. I love the artistry of it. I love the color. I love what inspires him, and I find that inspiring to me. I love the texture and all of the found ephemera that he uses and the embellishments. And he has some advice that he says in one of his books, and it's to be positive, form a plan, and work hard. And I find that philosophy very inspiring. The two books, I have one of the two self-published books that he has written and created creatures for. And the one I have is called The Wish Post. Oh. Wish Post. The other one is called Paraloon. The Wish Post is a story about creatures that can grant wishes, and they put the wishes in envelopes, and they post the wishes in post boxes that might be toadstools. And then they're gathered by animals, badgers, or that work mostly at night. They might be, or they might be, other creatures. Then they're taken to a sorting room, and they're sorted by squirrels. And the squirrels then sew them. Then they're sewn together, and then they have a festival, and the wishes are taken by the wind, and the wind is the one who grants the wishes. So all of these are pages. Again, the story's laid out in the introduction, and then the pages with all of his characters tell the story. Here is one page of some rabbits with toadstools. And here's another rabbits dressed in little vintage coats of embroidery fabric. and he creates probably hundreds of each of these things. I mean, his work is, he's very prolific, and he gives the behind the scenes about the creation of the book, and along with the story. And the other book, I don't have that book. It's called Paraloon. These books can be purchased on his website, and it's Mr. Finch Textile Art. I think you can find that link by Googling it. But the Paraloon book is a rabbit story. The rabbit is a hero with a magical cart, and he fills the cart with magic and room.
Thanks, Julie. My goodness, I've never heard of him. That was like super interesting. I really enjoyed that.
His work,
Yeah, well,
it's so phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I was thinking, you know who works like that is Connie Smith.
Mhm.
Yeah, she works.
Mr. Finch's work, I love his because he works so large. You know, a lot of his, like his rabbits and his clocks are maybe 20 inches tall. You know, they're very large pieces, and the, you know, even the bee being 9 inches long, or the moths have a wingspan of 18 to 20 inches, and the body of the moth is 10 inches long. So his pieces are really statement pieces.
Wow, very nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I do
I
love
also find like I love the whole thing. I mean, I feel I'm familiar with his work, so I think it's like really magical, and it takes you into another place. And Julie, the one thing that I wasn't aware of is his storybooks, and I love that philosophy that he kind of gives the premise of the story, but then it's just through visual that you follow the story through, and I think that, you know.
And then I
really
like
cool.
that and at the end, then he takes you back behind the scenes and gives a little bit more explanation of how the creatures are created. And
That's fantastic. Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yes.
Really,
Yeah,
really.
I just, you know, I'm just inspired by his imagination and his creativity and his use of different textiles and materials.
Yeah. It's great.
Well,
Yeah.
that was fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got to revisit some books I haven't visited. Ones that Diana showed. Learned about some new books. That's great. Go
Well,
spend
and
some
I
more
think
money.
I also think it's so interesting that we each have our own personal, because we're all doll artists, you know, and that we each have our own personal take on what inspires us, and they're very different. You know, all of them are very different, and but I think that's like the beauty of art. You know, is that you can find your inspiration anywhere, and whatever speaks to you and how you interpret that and then put that out into the world. Yeah, I think it's great.
Well, this is just, it's always so much fun to come in here and talk about things like that. It's inspiring, I think.
Yes, yes. And we hope that you guys thought so too. Yes, thank
Well,
you.
I'm checking messages right now. They were asking about Julie's last name. They wanted to know your last name, Julie.
Oh, McDermott.
I just
Julie
posted
McDermott. Yeah, I didn't put my name up when I entered the
We
I
have
didn't either the first time, Julie. So yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
here's a comment from Carol. She says, "Thank you, ladies. These books have been great for staving off the effects of isolation and providing inspiration for new figures. It was fun to spend time with all of you." Well, I feel like we're now artists in resident.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying isolation anymore. We're all artists in resident.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and there was a little bit of the audio thing, but that's been going on all day. I did another online thing early this morning, and only half my people could get on. So I think, you know, the internet's just really jumping right now. So, you know, if you guys want to, you can always circle back and revisit this, because it will be posted, and so you can watch the replay.
Right.
So that, you know, so you won't miss anything. So
No, absolutely not. And like we had mentioned before at the beginning, that we will be giving you a list of all these books, and hopefully there was one in there that inspired you, or maybe two, or all of them.
maybe all of them.
So Leslie, are we going to talk about what we are planning?
Yes, I think we should talk about what we're planning.
I think
Yes.
we should share.
Yes. So we're thinking about like where everybody is and how everybody's doing, and many of us are used to being out in the world, and some of us like are used to being just at home. So we thought, what about if we do like a social time? So is it next Sunday, Adele, that we're planning?
We're gonna plan. We're gonna try to do something on next Sunday.
Yes.
And open it up to a lot of these ladies that are commenting. They'll be able to come on in with us, and it'll be nice. I mean, you just bring your snack, your drink.
Yes.
It's gonna be very informal.
We were also talking about if you wanted, we were going to theme it so that if you wouldn't be caught just out in the cold. But so we were thinking about bringing your favorite, whatever your favorite might be. I won't bring my husband, but or maybe I will. I don't know. But we're just going to each bring like something that we can talk about that's our favorite. So we can, like let's spread a little bit of positivity during this period of time, because we have that option. We can do that.
Well, that's the beauty of these live streams like this. It's that it brings us all together, which is nice.
Yes.
Yeah. I was talking to Diana. It's been a while since I've seen her. It's been years, actually.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that you guys knew each other. That's really
we
cool.
did.
Yeah.
I taught a class for her club. Twice. Yeah. I don't know many years ago. I don't even know what year it was.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it.
I want to say it was like more than 10, but less than 20.
Oh, okay, very good. Let's keep it there. So, we'll be announcing the times. It's probably going to be around this time. It's like, it seems to be a okay time for people to jump in and join us. So I think we're going to keep it around this time. Leslie, what did you think?
Yeah, so that's for us on the West Coast time, that's 11 a.m. And Adele, what time is it there?
Right now it's 2:45.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what time would it start? 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, so 11
It
o'clock.
would be the same time that we're doing it now.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
we'll advertise it for you guys too. And so, and it's just to like bring us together as a community. And so, our big thing, like I was saying, we just really want to stress is that we're here together and we're a community together. And, it's actually cool because, I only see Diana like once a year. So now I can see her more, so, and Julie, we saw each other all the time, but now I'm in a different
Not so much
state than her.
anymore.
I know, I'm in a different state than
You
Julie.
moved.
I know, but that's the beauty of having this type of format.
No, we're still connected. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, that's
definitely.
great. I see you guys on Facebook all the time, so that's a lot of fun too. Now I can put a name with the face, or the face with the name with
Yes.
Julie. I knew what Diana looked like.
And I wanted to say to our audience out there that's not actually talking at the moment, but post your favorite book. Like what is your favorite book, and post a picture of it, post the name of it, and maybe even talk about why you like it, why you chose it. So, be part of this conversation too.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you, and let's just keep this together and keep going, because I think we're going to be in this for a little while, and this is such a great way for us to stay united, and we are so excited to be doing these little programs. So announcement for next Sunday will be coming shortly.
Yes.
And, we're plotting and planning on other stuff too.
Oh yeah, we got a lot more coming up. Yep, definitely.
So,
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, so much for being here. It's been a pleasure seeing you again and meeting you. And thank you for sharing your beautiful books. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Yes, thank you guys for joining us
Thank
on
you.
Creating Balance in Your Artistic Life.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh,
Yes, thank you very much.
Bye.
bye-bye. Hey, Leslie.
Hey.
So
That was so much fun. I loved having the guest on today. Wasn't that great?
It was a blast, and
Yeah.
it was nice to see that book come to the surface again about fabric manipulation.
I
totally
know. Isn't that
totally
great?
forgot about that book, and I love that kind of stuff. But you know what? I think we just we're always gravitating to the newest book, and
Right.
then the book gets
Right.
put aside. But and I love the book that Julie also shared. It was great. And
Yeah.
the ones that you brought are amazing. I love those. Just
Thank
love
you.
those.
And of course, I loved your books. You know that. But that's the thing is we love books. We love inspiration, you know. So I think that's like so cool. And you know, even Adele, what you were saying is as you were going through your books, you're like, oh man, I forgot about this one. You know, so this is kind of like a really cool time to like go back and dig through your books and find out, you know, like, wow, where did that come from? And then post it. You know, tell us like what was your find? What did you find? Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. So I'm hoping that the viewers that are Remy's here too.
Hi, Remy.
And Kitty
Ann and Priscilla.
Yeah.
Margie.
So yeah, post your books. Post a picture of the cover. We'd love to see it. And please be a part of these programs that we have, because this is what it's all about. We want you to be a part of it, and it's kind of laid back, informal. We just want to have fun, and we all need to have more laughter in our lives right now.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So with this, we will say goodbye, and thank you so much for being here. It was such fun to have guests on our show this time.
Yes, that was great. Good job, Adele. Yeah, we did it. Yay.
Good job, Leslie.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for showing up and being a part of this. We really appreciate it. Know that we are holding you in our hearts and we are all connected. Yeah.
Thank you, and be safe. Bye-bye.
Be safe. Bye.